Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. So the Inverse Kramer ETF, not Jim Cramer. This is the Inverse Kramer Tracker, a Twitter account that has caught on to the fact that one should do the exact opposite of what Jim Cramer does. Now that's just his moniker here, but he's tweeting this out. Okay, Michael Burry just sold nearly everything he owns. Now, if you guys don't know who Michael Burry is, he was the inspiration of the 2015 Hollywood film, The Big Short. One of my favorite movies that has to do with finance. If you guys have not seen this film, I suggest you watch it. And Michael Burry was played by Christian Bale. Anyway, what he's tweeting out here is that Michael Burry, now these are the positions that he's apparently sold all out of. The energy sector, information technology, Apple puts, healthcare, information tech, communications giant Google, consumer discretionary, communications, finance, communications, consumer discretionary, and consumer discretionary sectors. So it's looking like he's sold out of all his positions here, and maybe he's about to put a big short on the rest of the market yet again. So we have seen this retracement. Guys, I've got the S&P 500 up here on the daily, and there's currently this retracement here. What we have seen in the past, what we've noticed from putting a Fibonacci on these charts, is we will generally see what is a retracement up to the 0.702. Now, in this particular case, it hasn't quite reached the 0.618. But Michael Burry not looking too optimistically on these particular sectors. Now, I guess the question remains, does that spell something else for the crypto market? Well, Miles J. Creative brought this up, 63 days bottoming. If this trend of shortening bottoms is to have any validity, then something should start to happen this week. Now, I was talking a little bit about how these trends are getting shorter and shorter. With every bear market, we are seeing a shorter and shorter time period before they are bottoming. We saw this back in 2018, 2019. We compared that to the 2014, 2015 bear market. I calculated this in a previous video that I did a few weeks ago now. And now we're over here, okay? 9 bars. As per this chart, this last one was 18 bars, and I don't know what a bar represents on this particular chart, but it's looking like this is the equivalent to about 126 days, so that's 18 bars. And the first bear run, or the first bear market, 2014 to 2015 here, 36 bars, which would equate to about 252 days. So if we are to assume that this is correct, this would be the bottom. That is not to say that we are not going to consolidate a little further like we have seen here. So those consolidation periods too, right? So not only did we bottom, but the consolidation period went for longer. That could mean that we could likely go longer in this consolidation phase, which is what I've been saying when looking at Bitcoin. We had projections suggesting that quarter 4 2022, which would be in and around here, or quarter 1 2023, which would be in around here. Those would be the markers before we kind of really decide to move to the upside. So we're still in mid-August, guys, 2022 right now. Market is looking favorable right now. I've got Bitcoin here up on the daily. Bitcoin trading right now at about $24,000 even. So has gone up, has gone down a little bit. Throwing that on the hourly, you guys can see it's just a bit of a mess here. Just kind of a steady increase, which is fairly positive. I mean, we're not complaining about this. We are seeing higher highs, okay, followed by higher lows, right? That is positive news. Everybody wants to see this, although it has been a slow grind to the upside. This in conjunction with the altcoins, we're seeing similar trend on the XRP chart. This is XRP on the hourly as well. And you can see this trend not as defined as the Bitcoin trend. We aren't seeing those definitive higher highs and higher lows, but you can tell the trend is still moving in the same direction. And if the rest of the market crashes, as Michael Burry is insinuating based on his sell orders, are we going to see an influx of institutional money in the crypto space? That is a very good question. What I do also find interesting is how this battle for regulating cryptocurrency is playing out in the United States, okay? We were of the impression that the CFTC was more level-headed than the SEC when it came to deciding, what should be considered a commodity versus a security, or, kind of given a better interpretation of how they view cryptocurrencies. You remember back at the end of last month when Carolyn D. Pham discussed the SEC insider trading case against former Coinbase manager and why all regulations should be clear before any enforcement actions are taken. So kind of scolding the SEC when she said that I believe that anything that might impact or implicate the CFTC's jurisdiction, it's our job to go in there to enforce the law and to make sure we're prosecuting any wrongdoing. And that it also shouldn't be about gotcha regulations. She told CoinDesk right down here that the most effective regulation is when it's clear. At the moment, she says it is difficult to pinpoint which agency is spearheading an effective regulatory framework. I think a lot of people are asking themselves questions, she says. Pham said that ultimately it is the incumbent upon regulators to provide clarity for people to know what they can and can't do within the crypto industry. Interesting position to take in 2022, considering Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unboxed found this, and this is his hypothesis. There is no battle for regulation of cryptos by the CFTC and the SEC like they want you to believe. Because here's an MOU signed by Jay Clayton and Chris Giancarlo, and you guys can find that right over here on the CFTC's official website, the MOU, in which it suggests either party may terminate the MOU upon 30 days written notice to the other party. Following termination, all information that was provided subject to the MOU shall remain confidential pursuant to its terms. Now, this was signed by then Chairman Jay Clayton and Chairman Chris Giancarlo of the CFTC. So Clayton was obviously of the SEC, Giancarlo of the CFTC. Yet enter Gary Gensler into office, and it feels like it's a whole different ballgame. Stefan Hubert also mentioning that there was no battle until Goldman Gary came into office. Recreational Rex saying the lawsuit started under Clayton. The next day, Clayton left his office, and it was a handoff. So some people suggesting that they were in bed together, that it was a coordinated effort between Chairman Clayton and Chairman Gensler, and some are saying no. Maybe they had a different perspective on this and it just kind of went this way. It could have been that, Chairman Gensler was in fact told to do this, and maybe that's why he stepped down. The Saint down here saying everything they do is in secrecy makes sense. They would fight against the ledger. There'd be no way of hiding their kickbacks and criminalities. Laws for thee, not for me. Agent Smith also responding, that's a standard MOU. The following words or portions of words weren't in the document. So crypto, currency, or digital or assets. Anyway, this memorandum of understanding, an interesting tidbit, an interesting observation into the US cryptocurrency framework world. But it also doesn't consider this, okay? CFTC and the SEC have been working together, in my opinion, and could also be part of those emails the SEC refused to hand over, guys. This coming from RizXRP on Twitter. Would Judge Netburn already know this from the in-camera review? Very good question. Listen to this. This is an interview from Yahoo Finance from back in 2019.
For having me, Scott.
So we're going to talk a lot about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and really nerd out on this topic, so I hope the audience is prepared for that. In 2018, Yahoo Finance interviewed Bill Hinman from the Securities and Exchange Commission at our All Markets Summit out in San Francisco. And at that time last year, he clarified the SEC's stance on Bitcoin and Ether, saying that neither were a security. And I just want you to clarify the CFTC's stance on Bitcoin and Ether.
Sure. Happy to do that. But before I do it, I think one of the things I'd like to say, because this is, I think, my first big public appearance as chairman, is I wanted to stress the importance of blockchain and digital assets to the United States. And in particular, as CFTC chairman, I really want the U.S. to lead in this technology. I don't want another country to lead. I want the United States to lead, because whoever leads in this technology is going to end up writing the rules of the game. So then we come to the question, well, what is the role of the CFTC? And it's very interesting, because I think the CFTC's role is to ensure there's integrity in the markets. And we want these markets to develop in a way that has integrity. So under the Commodity Exchange Act, we regulate commodities. A commodity is a very broad definition. I'm not going to give it to you now, but essentially, if you have to say that a movie ticket is not a commodity, which is in our statute, it covers a lot of financial contracts. If it's a security, it gets kicked out. So to your question, Scott, we've been very clear on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a commodity under the Commodity Exchange Act. We haven't said anything about Ether until now. It is my view as chairman of the CFTC that Ether is a commodity, and therefore it will be regulated under the CEA. And my guess is that you will see in the near future Ether-related futures contracts and other derivatives potentially traded.
So you're hearing this all for the first time. This is first on Yahoo Finance. Breaking news.
Breaking news. It's my conclusion personally, as chairman of the CFTC, that Ether is a commodity and therefore would fall under our jurisdiction.
Wow, so isn't that telling? The then chairman Heath Tarbert saying that as of, I believe this was from, Riz down here saying this was from October of 2019. As of October 2019, the CFTC did conclude that Ethereum was in fact is in fact a commodity. Now that's very interesting considering what has been uncovered since then. I mean, with ETHgate, the XRP community, all pointing to facts that would indeed exclude Ethereum from that classification. Yet they've got it on the record here, 2019, Heath Tarbert, that was his name, right? Yeah, Heath Tarbert, the CFTC chairman at that time, he did say, and it was breaking news, Yahoo Finance even did put it up here on the screen, breaking news, if you guys can see that. Right in there, breaking news. He says Ether is a commodity, which just begs the question, are they working in concert? There was this MOU that was signed between Clayton and the chairman at that time, Chris Giancarlo. All things that make you go, But it's okay, guys. You know why? Because banks around the world are realizing and classifying XRP as a currency, despite what the CFTC or the SEC says. Just the other day, we've had actually a few of these reports surface. The first one I talked about was Wells Fargo from the other day. I will link that video up here in the top right-hand corner if you guys didn't see that. And then the other day, a few days later, we got news that Goldman Sachs was also listing XRP, or rather classifying XRP as a currency in a report that they put out. And if you guys didn't catch that video, I will link that video also up here in the top right-hand corner. Well, now, guys, this is what we got now from Wilbur54-XRP here on Twitter. HSBC, the latest document to surface, is a PDF that was found on the internet. They have concluded as well that XRP is a currency. So no matter what the SEC or Gary Gensler say, will not make any difference to the banks. They are going ahead with ODL regardless. See the latest HSBC report. And so, guys, I've got the report up here, Distributed Ledger Technology in the Capital Markets. I believe this one was from 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see a date on here, but I believe it is a 2022 report. So their executive summary, following several years of development applications for DLT technology in capital markets, they're multiplying fast and moving rapidly towards implementation. It is becoming apparent that DLT not only has the potential to reduce costs and risks in the investment industry, in time it could reorder existing value chains, ushering in profound changes to capital market processes and structures. This paper aims to take a pragmatic look at the future evolution of distributed ledger technology, identifying realistic possibilities and likely obstacles. It reviews 6 key areas of debate. And so they basically outline just some of the points here that they've concluded. DLT represents a varied adaptive group of consensus-based technologies with unique features and benefits. It is ideally suited to perform a range of capital market functions. Practical uses for DLT are multiplying. Okay, I'm just going to breeze over these. A huge range of organizations are debating and investing in DLT. So here, guys, look, they talk about private ledgers hosted by specialists or consortia are capturing the bulk of capital. Adoption holds the key to DLT's ability to achieve financial benefits and operational improvements in capital markets. The next few years, we will see development accelerate, which is, I think, by and large, a common observation agreed upon amongst many financial institutions and governments and all that. DLT will begin to redistribute value between market participants within 2 to 3 years. That will pose a growing challenge for many organizations and means that active engagement with distributed ledger technology is essential. So to reach its potential, DLT still needs to overcome significant barriers. Progress will be gradual and there will be some setbacks. Nonetheless, we believe DLT is at a tipping point. It is an increasingly viable tool. From here on, we will be largely judged against commercial criteria. As adoption of DLT grows, it will change the shape of technology spending, not only by attracting investments, but by encouraging collaboration in the process. It will exert growing influence over the way that markets function. At a minimum, every firm in every sector of the capital markets should keep a close eye on the evolution of DLT. In many cases, a more active stance will be justified. For those that want a stake in the development of DLT, now is the time to get involved. And just going back to Wilbur's tweet here, guys, from that PDF, which I will link in the description of the video, what are the most compelling use cases for DLT in capital markets? Well, they have right here highlighted payments. DLT can streamline end-to-end value transfers, reducing costs, operational risks, and settlement periods. And then they use the example of Ripple's XRP ledger. It provides real-time cross-border settlements using tokens that represent central bank currencies. And the XRP represents that transactional liquidity, representing those central bank currencies. I don't know if they mean CBDCs here or fiat currencies, but they say that this XRP token, these are the tokens that represent central bank currencies. So I think it's safe to say HSBC is on board. They have no problem utilizing XRP for this particular use case. They're clearly not worried of XRP being classified as a security, but that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.